Today, this evening, we're going to talk about health and human services layoffs of the program Meals on Wheels and other services for seniors and disabled. Okay, I got this article on npr.org for use, and we're going to get into this article. And the article says HHS layoffs hit Meals on Wheels and other services for seniors and disabled. And the article goes on to talk about okay, the article says the layoffs at the Department of Health and Human Services slash the staffs of major federal aging, disability, and anti-poverty programs, leaving the future of those programs uncertain. At least 40%, at least 40% of staff got layoff notices, and many were turned away at the front door Tuesday when they showed up for work at the Administration for Community Living, or ACL, which coordinates federal policy on aging and disability. That's according to the agency former director under the Biden administration, Allison Barkoff, who says she talked to multiple members of her former staff. The agency programs that run senior centers and distribute 216 million meals a year to older and disabled people through the Meals on Wheels program. The program that ACL implements improve the lives of literally tens of millions of older adults, people with disabilities, and their families and caregivers, says Barkoff, now director of a health law program at George Washington University's Milken Institute School of Public Health. There's no way to have these rifts and not impact the programs and the people who rely on them. Last week, the announcement of the coming layoffs at Health and Human Services said that ACL's responsibilities would go to different parts of HHS. But Project 25, the Heritage Foundation's guide for reshaping government, has suggested ACL take on work on special education services once the Department of Education was dismantled. It's not clear where that work will be done now. In addition, every staffer was laid off from the Division of Energy Assistance, according to two employees who lost their jobs on Tuesday, Andrew Germain and Vicky Pretlow. The office runs the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, which helps 5.9 million low-income households pay heat and cooling bills and pay for home repairs to boost energy efficiency. The staffer said layoffs of about 20 workers came as a surprise, and they expressed concern about whether the program would continue once funding runs out at the end of September and impoverished people face rising heating bills in fall and winter. LIHEAP provides life-saving services, says Germain. One way the funds are used to help low-income people pay their electric bills when they rely upon oxygen or other medical devices or need to keep the refrigerator running to store insulin or other medicines. Germain ran compliance monitoring to make sure states use the LIHEAP money correctly. He said fraud is rare, but LIHEAP was scrutinized by Project 2025, it noted a loophole fixed by Congress more than 10 years ago in 2014 that was used by about 10 states to give minimal energy assistance in a way that then qualified impoverished people for a bigger SNAP or food stamp payment. Congress appropriated $4.1 billion to LIHEAP in fiscal year 2024. Jermaine says without federal staff to run the program, it's unclear how it will continue after current appropriation ends in September. Pretlow, who lost her job as a program specialist in LIHEAP office, said, "You can be paid much more in a different place. You can be praised more in a different place. You can be appreciated more in a different place, but the people I worked with have a great heart for service." Okay, and my opinion about this article is, I understand that the Trump administration is trying to help the economy by saving on government, and the Biden administration they did so many had so many fiscal irresponsibility with the money, with the taxpayer money. They were money laundering and sending money off to other countries for foreign aid for um, unsubstantiated purposes, reasons that weren't allegedly not legitimate. But it's a shame that it always, when in government, when something's meant to do good, the common man or the people that need the service are the ones that suffer, and that's real sad, And we have to take care of our elderly people. Every country tries to take care of their elderly, and they hold them in high regard. And also, you have to have a safety net, for low income people, for them to be able to sustain themselves, with the rising costs of everything. I think I saw one news report where Trump stated that the price of everything would go up. And so, what are the? So my question is, what are the people supposed to do? If you're elderly, you're over the age to work. So what are they supposed to do? It used to be that churches would have like a senior program to help people, but nowadays a lot of these pastors in these churches are not doing what they used to do. They're more interested in for self, lying in their pockets. But not to talk about all church organizations, I'm just saying a lot of them don't live up to what the Bible states. Take care of the poor, the sick, the homeless. And usually the churches will step up, to take care of the community. And it's a shame that people, the wealthy, the people that commit money laundering and pocket their money, civil servants, that are corrupt, corrupt politicians, they look out for themselves, and they don't look out. They say they look after the common man, but they really don't. They pocket the money and use it for vacations and for taking care of their kids and funding their lavish lifestyle, instead of thinking about what they're elected to do, serve the people, And hopefully they come up with a good resolution to help the seniors and disabled citizens. It's a shame that they have to suffer these cutbacks because, it look like the people that ought to be penalized are the people that were doing the money laundering, instead of having common citizens suffer and get layoffs and lose their jobs. But, you know, and here's another article. Let's see what else they have. Let's see. Politics. Okay, let's see. Look at another article to talk about today. Oh, okay. And another article we can go into this evening, China's global electric vehicle room. April 1st, 2025, sales of electric vehicles worldwide have been growing, and the largest manufacturer of EVs is China BYD. Their global revenue was over 100 billion in 2024, beating Tesla. To keep up that growth and to try to stave off the pain of US tariffs, BYD is expanding in emerging markets. One of the markets where their cars are selling big is Brazil, where BYD is investing nearly $1 billion in a factory. But as our Brazil correspondents tell us, there have been some difficulties along the way. So I hear a lot of people talking about China's electric cars. You know, I hear they're pretty advanced. And then last year they sold over 100 billion in 2024, beating Tesla. So, China has always been innovative, and they have a good education system. And sadly, America has been lacking on education because, and I believe the reason for that is because of the racism and divide in America. If everybody actually did compete on merit and the education was able to uplift everyone, I believe America would be far ahead than what it is. And this country is supposed to be the most richest country, and then the richest country has the poorest education. I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, it's something. And then another article, why gold prices are surging to record highs. It's a April 1st, 2025, tariffs are rolling stock markets, but making gold hotter than ever. So that would be something good for investors to invest in gold. But like they say, gold is always a good mineral to invest in. Okay. And I'm just looking at any other articles to discuss this evening. Okay, here's another article here. Widespread firings start at federal health agencies, including many in leadership. The Trump administration began sending notices of termination to thousands of staffers at federal health agencies Tuesday, according to interviews with employees and officials at multiple agencies and emails reviewed by NPR. The Department of Health and Human Services last week announced it planned to dismiss 10,000 people. These cuts come on top of around 10,000 people already leaving the agencies under the Trump administration forking the road offer and early retirement. Termination emails went out Tuesday morning to employees and leadership of the agencies within HHS, the Food and Drug Administration, the National Institutes of Health, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as several smaller agencies. Well, I mean, and then the article goes on to say many of those workers only found out they had been fired when they tried to badge into the building after waiting in line and couldn't get in. NPR learned from multiple sources at HHS who didn't want to share their names for fear of repercussions. On Thursday, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said in a statement that the layoffs were intended to reduce bureaucratic sprawl. We are realigning the organization with its core mission and our new priorities in reversing the chronic disease epidemic, he said. But agency staff and leaders in the field say the cuts are a blow to public health, medicine, biomedical research in the U.S. We've never seen anything like this before. Dr. Ashish Jha, the dean of the Brown University School of Public Health, who served as President Biden's COVID-19 response coordinator, told NPR in an interview. We rely on our CDC for things like tracking down disease outbreaks. We rely on NIH for research into a new treatment and tests and vaccines. At this moment, whether those will continue to be effective has really been put into question. We don't know what the implications of all of this will be. I worry that what we're going to see is more people getting sick, more disease outbreaks, and infrastructure that is going to be less and less capable of responding to those threats. Well, all I can say is all we can do is sit back and watch this go through and see what kind of changes Robert Jr. Kennedy is implementing or talking about. But there was a lot of corruption going on in the Biden administration, so maybe that's the reason for all this overhaul of different departments. And the article goes on to say FDA sees major changes. At the FDA, the entire team that handles communications for the agency lost their jobs, according to staffers who were among those fired. They spoke on conditions of anonymity for fear of retaliation for publicly criticizing the administration. According to an HHS fact sheet, 3,500 FDA jobs are being eliminated. The FDA's top vaccine regulator, Dr. Peter Marks, revealed on Friday that he's been forced out. The FDA Center for Tobacco Products chief Brian King was fired, the AP reports. Before Trump took office, there were around 18,000 employees at the agency. There have been departures and firings since then, in addition to today's cuts. Okay, at the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, more than 800 people lost their jobs, according to an official who was laid off and fears retribution for sharing information. This part of the agency, which had around 6,000 employees before the cuts, is responsible for new drug approvals as well as monitoring unexpected side effects after approval and making label changes. Well, I hope it doesn't affect the American citizens, all these cuts, because they need the regulators to regulate the drugs. But I guess they know what they're doing. All we can do is just pray and just watch. Former FDA leaders who served under president from both parties took to social media to voice their concerns about the cuts. The FDA, as we've known, it is finished. Dr. Robert Califf, who served as FDA commissioner twice and stepped down in January, wrote on LinkedIn. He explained that he was overwhelmed with messages about staff cuts and the agency leaders who know who know the most about product development and safety have been let go. I believe that history will see this as a huge mistake, he wrote. I would be glad I'm proven wrong, but even then, there is no good reason to treat people this way. It will be interesting to hear from the new leadership how they plan to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Well, yeah, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who served as FDA commissioner during Trump's first term from May 2017 through April 2019, wrote on X Tuesday that he fears the United States will regress to a time when Americans suffer a drug lag in getting access to new drugs and treatments. Well, I like to say we have to see it through because it wasn't looking too bleak with Biden when he was in office and Kamala, but all we can do is pray on it and stay healthy, have a good diet, eat your fruits and vegetables, check in on your loved ones and your elderly. Yeah, I mean, it's critical times. And well, hopefully out of all this, there's some improvements to healthcare because I mean, during the Trump administration, there were reports of a lot of medical malpractice, black women dying at birth, giving birth to their children. I mean, there was so many things going on. So, I mean, it leads a person to wonder maybe Trump is doing the right thing by doing an overhaul of these government agencies. Maybe they'll work better, but we'll see. Okay, now let me go ahead and go on to the next article. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's talk about food. This is an interesting article about food. It says time for some healing soup recipes from around the world. And I love eating soup. If you got a crock pot, pot, you can make all your kind of different soups you like to make using different recipes. And it says here in this article that talks about thyme for some healing soup recipes from around the world. Every culture has its own special soup. The belief is that a bowl will make you feel better if you're feeling under the weather, hungover, or just in the need of a pick me up. And that's true. You can make your vegetable soup with chicken or beef and whatever kind of meat you want to use, chicken or beef. And it is you do feel a lot better. You're eating healthy, and it's a good thing to eat during the winter. And sometimes during the summer. Um, okay, here's an interesting article. Dairy farmers in Wisconsin see federal funding unfrozen as others are left waiting. Yeah, I mean, it's something that Trump has to do an overhaul of the agencies because Biden, he was just, a lot of people say Biden was asleep on the clock. But we'll see if there's a positive outcome out of all these. And hopefully the people that were laid off, it stated in the article that they'll get some kind of compensation or retirement. But it's never good to get laid off. Hosting and in this article here it says hosting an Oscars party. Here are menu ideas for each Best Picture nominee. If your friends are over to watch Hollywood's Biggest Night, but I think that was February 28th. But it's good to have a get together and among friends or family. You get together and watch the Super Bowl and then now they come up with the Oscar party. That's cool. It's good to have get-togethers during these critical times. And that's my commentary on the news this evening. And I may upload some other videos about other topics this evening. And thank you for tuning in to the Inspirational Channel and News. And you have a peaceful and wonderful evening.